Hey guys, it's Maria Park. Welcome to the Superman and Lois episode 8 live stream slash spoiler review. If you are just popping in, normally our Arrowverse Tuesday has at least 2 or 3 shows that we recap. But yeah, we only got one new series this week. That's really interesting. The CW scheduled it that way, but whatever. I'm not upset about it because, there a lot went on in the Superman and Lois universe. So the episode starts off with Lois in therapy because I feel like therapy is a big thing in the Arrowverse because we've seen Barry and Iris in therapy. We've seen, actually, a lot of characters have been in therapy, speaking their truths. Lois is probably the latest one in therapy, but I think in every Arrowverse show so far, someone has been in therapy at least once. So it's good to know that they care about mental health, except for Uncharmed in the CW. All right, so she's talking about basically losing her temper on someone, and she's making it very vague. So throughout the episode, you don't know if it was Clark she lost it on, if it was John Henry Irons, aka Steele, that she lost it on. But she basically tells this doctor, Dr. Wilde, who she goes to see at the DOD, that she is upset that this person is probably going to look at her and not be able to see her the same way after the words that she said, and the person did not deserve it. Which brings me to Jonathan. Now, I have said from episode 1, I felt the sorriest for Jonathan in this series, and that is because he is treated like poop. And what I mean by that, like they're fixing the car or the truck in the episode, and of course Clark is there, Jordan, they're all, the whole family's out there fixing the truck. Lois is just kind of like supervising. Jonathan is holding the wrench, hence the name of the episode. And then Jordan is there. Jonathan tries to hand the wrench to Clark, and he's like, I don't need it. And then he asks Jordan, Clark basically asks Jordan to hold the truck up while he uses a heat ray vision to fix it. And I'm like, and you see Jonathan's face, he's like, I'm just like not effective at all. It's like, why am I here? And I've always felt like Clark treats the boys differently. He treats Jordan a little better because he's more like him. And I don't know if he sees it or not, but I see it. And it's also why Lois is so close to Jonathan, because they're technically the two that are the extraordinary humans, as she likes to say, in this family of superpowered people. Which, again, if it's comic accurate, Jonathan will eventually get powers too and becomes basically Prime Superboy. So I don't know what's going to happen with Jordan, because I'm still believing that Jordan's going to be, Brightburn. But anyway, so the big thing of this episode is trying to figure out what Steele is about. So they have the RV at the farm, and Lois goes with Jonathan, because Jonathan wants to go with her because he wants to be able to do something. And they go and they basically check out his RV. Well, when they get in, the AI basically asks them to identify themselves. And so Lois says, I'm Lois Lane, and her voice is recognized, which means that RV was built prior to Lois Lane of his Earth, his, Steele's wife, being killed by Superman. Because there's no other reason to have her voice and name recognized if she was not alive. So basically they were able to roam freely in the RV, and that's when the computers come up, and Lois says, I want to know more about John Henry Irons. And so his whole history, newspaper clippings, everything is just there. Well, she gets triggered because she sees that not only was he married to someone who looks exactly like her, but he also has, of course, his daughter Natalie, which we've learned in the Prime universe, or Lois's universe, is a trigger for her because she had a miscarriage 18 months after the twins were born. And it was a baby girl that she was going to name after her grandmother, also Natalie. So long story short, why she's in therapy is, 1, she has not grieved for this. And 2, Jonathan later goes back into the RV and is looking through information, which is very foreboding because he sees pictures of Natalie and he's like, I really wish I could have got to know you. And it's now that we know that, Lois had a miscarriage, he's, that's almost like he's talking to his dead baby sister that he never got to meet. And also, he saw the weapons, and he also saw how Lois, the previous other Earth Lois, died. He literally saw someone who looked like his dad kill his mom. So that's traumatizing. He starts searching around the RV. He opens this one cabinet that's locked, and it has guns in it, and it triggers the defense. It's about to kill him, and he's screaming. And I guess I don't even know how Lois basically heard him screaming from the barn, but she did. And, she's like, it's Lois Lane, open it. The doors won't open. And so she pushes the button. She screams for Clark, and he gets there, and he's able to save Jonathan in time. But she loses her crap on him. She tells Jonathan, you went in there, and I thought I could trust you. She said, if you would have died, it would have been your fault because you're reckless and you're stupid. And he's like, all right. Now that's what I'm like, poor Jonathan. He's already living in the shadows in his own family. And now the one ally he had in the family that understands what it's like not to have powers, at least right now, just basically called him nothing. And, he tried to reach out to Jordan, but Jordan was too busy supporting Sarah, because Sarah wants to try out for the school musical or music event or whatever they're having. And her dad, Kyle, was supposed to help her. He was encouraging her. They were practicing, which is interesting because he was practicing on the guitar, not on the piano. And we learned that Jordan actually did play piano and did recitals until the anxiety took over and he couldn't do it anymore. But Kyle was going to be there for her audition. And what ended up happening is, and I don't know why. I know why, because Leslie is a bitch. So Leslie Lar literally comes up to Kyle while he's going to check out his daughter's, audition, and lets Kyle know that he actually was up for a position in the program that Lana was hired to recruit people for with Morgan Edge. And sorry that it didn't work out and that you turned it down. And he's like, what? And so he goes and he finds Lana and he confronts her about it. And she basically makes up a lie on the fly saying, well, Morgan Edge didn't think that you were leadership material. He probably just didn't tell Leslie that. And so he got in his feelings and then, of course, turns to alcohol. He turns to alcohol for everything. So man's an alcoholic. So he got in his feelings and missed Sarah's entire performance or audition. But of course, Jordan stepped in. And what I thought was interesting is Jonathan came up to Jordan during this, while Jordan's there with flowers trying to support Sarah during her audition, and says, Jonathan's like, you're the only person I have. I need you. And Jordan's like, we're in this together. Whatever it is, it's just me and you. But he didn't get up to go ask what was wrong with his brother. He literally still sat there to support, Sarah. And then Sarah's like, I can't sing because my dad's not here. And Jordan's like, I'll do it. I'll look up the chords or the lyrics, whatever online. I'll play I'll play the piano. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, poor Jonathan. I'm like, poor Jonathan. But long story short, with Jonathan, at least, Lois does apologize to him and then tells him about the miscarriage and explains why she can't lose another child because of her. And so they have like this I was in my feelings, like they were tearing up and I was tearing up. I'm like, this is getting to me. I'm like, I'm really sad now. So like that, I was in my feelings on that. But I really love Jonathan's character, and I feel bad for Jonathan because Jonathan really is like Lois, but he seems to have a good head on his shoulders, a lot more than Jordan does. So yeah. So let's talk about what's going on with Mr. Irons. He's literally he's being interrogated, and they were talking about being Traskin to torture him, which I thought was interesting because if you read the comics, you know who Lieutenant Trask is in the comics. So I thought that was interesting. He and Superman, Clark, we're just gonna call him Clark, have this heated discussion because basically in his world, Clark / Superman killed his family and killed everybody. And I mean, I get that. This man is like literally everything that's happening on Prime Earth is how it started on his. He's seeing the pattern, and it's like, I really need to kill you because if I don't, we're going to have injustice. Basically, that is literally what's happening. And he's like, people are making Kryptonians, and that's why he's so invested in stopping all of the Kryptonite, because he doesn't want to repeat on this earth what happened to his. And he tells them at the DoD he doesn't want to talk to anybody but Lois Lane because, of course, she looks like his wife, and they won't bring her to him, which is really interesting because she literally ended up at the DoD anyway. And long story short, he does talk to Sam. He does put a little buzz in Sam's ear that Superman could join his people because the Kryptonians are his people and not, us. And you think he cares about, normal human beings. But what happens when he's around other Kryptonians? He'll become their leader and then take over the world. And then what will you do? It's like, he already has that buzz in his head, but he doesn't need to do that because Sam already came up with Project 7734 based on their first encounter. And, in the comics, Project 7734 is in DC world a lot because Sam recruits a lot of people. Even Lois's sister was involved in 7734. So the team from 7734, which I hope they expand into this, is very foreboding. And Sam Lane teams up with Lex and a bunch of other people, and it just causes a lot of damage. So I am excited for the implications of this. I don't know how the Arrowverse is going to handle 7734, but they're making it seem like it's a modified kryptonite, and it's just just in case something happened. No, it's a lot bigger than that. And I really want to see if Intergang in this version is connected to 7734, but that's a whole other conversation as well. So, but yeah, Clark now knows about Project 7734 because they're basically taking Steel back to his cell, and it's 2 guards, and unfortunately Trask is one of them, and he ends up getting killed because another soldier who has kryptonite ends up like killing him and then taking Steel, saying you have other problems, and he's on the next kryptonite, and he has to have a confrontation with Superman, which is the only reason that even happened and they even knew that any of this was happening is because John Henry hits the alarm in the elevator, and he's like, I can't wait to see you guys kill each other, basically. So he figured, hey, if I get this guy who's trying to kidnap me to kill Superman, my job is done. take out a Kryptonian, take out a modified Kryptonian, bam. And it's just like, I mean, it's not a bad plan. But what's interesting is that he doesn't let him finish a job. So they're fighting, and of course there's like this modified gun that's like got this green, I'm calling it green kryptonite smoke, and he keeps blasting it at Superman. And for a while Superman's putting up a fight, but at the end he almost died, and then of course the guy Rossetti was his name. Rossetti's like, I have a mission basically, and that's to take Steel. And Steel ends up stabbing him with this like modified, like it's like a long, like, I don't know, I'm gonna call it a spear with kryptonite like head on it, and he ends up killing him. And it was just about to kill Superman when Lois shows up, because of course Lois is gonna show up because she's already the DOD. And she talks him down, and she's like, if you kill him, an innocent man, a hero, what does that make you? And it's like, oh, seeing my wife's face say that, even though it's not my wife. He dropped the weapon, and then they let him go as a sign of trust. And so basically Steel is just, he deleted his Captain Luther profile in the RV, and he was actually at the farm picking it up, getting all that stuff ready to go. And then he decides to go driving for a while. And, right before he leaves, he's like, there's a lot of things I want to say, but you're not the wife I want to say it to. You just look like her. And, Lois is like, I hope you feel, you find solace. And then, he drives off. And I don't know what's going to happen. They don't say where, because she's like, the AI is like, do you want me to set a new destination? And he's like, I'm just going to drive for a while. So that does not mean he's out of the show. It means he's not where we need him to be, or where we know he is. I still don't know what happened to Nat. I really hope she's probably still back on that Earth by herself. Unfortunately, being that she is the future Steel, maybe there's an opportunity for her to come over to this Earth. I don't know, but I'm still interested to see what happens if that happens. But yeah, they're setting up a lot of cool stuff. There's a lot of stuff being set up that I really, really enjoy in this. But yeah, having Lois have a miscarriage with a baby girl that they were going to name Natalie, and then having her on another world be married to Steel and have a daughter named Natalie is very interesting. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, I mean, it's just Lana still trying to figure out what Morgan Edge's, deal is for Lois. Lois losing her crap about, in her feelings about almost losing Jonathan, and triggering all the stuff with Natalie, triggering her trauma and her grief. Superman, I'm still having issues with how he reacted in the last episode, because if Lois had not told him to stand down, basically, he was about to do some damage to Steel. he looked like he was in his injustice mode. So it's there. I just don't know what would happen to make it come. We know what happens in the actual comic and video game version of Injustice, but we don't know what triggers this. And to be fair, in the DCEU, I'm pretty sure Zack Snyder's Justice League Uncut was leading to Injustice. So there's a lot of injustice going on. So yeah, I'm really interested to see how all of this plays out. Good episode. Again, I haven't really had a lot of complaints. Just Jordan is a bad brother sometimes. I mean, he just really is. And unfortunately, Clark does play favorites between Jordan and Jonathan. Whether he sees it or not, it is there. And I feel bad. Jonathan is the character I actually feel the worst about in this series. I just do. I feel really bad for him. It's sad but then I also feel bad for Lois, because when Jonathan gets powers, she really will be the only one in the family that doesn't have them. And being the sole female to 3 superpower boys is going to be a thing. But yeah, that's it. That is it. So let's look at some questions. Go to the beginning. Haido, yay, you made it. I'm really proud. Hello, Ray. How are you? Jonathan's my favorite. Is just pure awesome goodness. He do good for that family. Just saying. Now the brother not surprised from Superman and Lois as parents. I mean, freaking Jordan. I mean, I was like, why? I mean, dude was like literally almost crying. He's like, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. But she might be my boo someday. So I need to go over there and help her for a minute. And then I'm gonna come back and talk to you. You got this. I'm like, and what's interesting is both Jordan and Sarah got over that stage fright like that. Now, I don't know if you've ever had stage fright. I've been performing in theater. I've done, obviously as a voice actress, you're always vulnerable and having to do auditions and, not knowing what people are going to say, especially when you're in studio. It is nerve wracking. There's no such thing as not having a form of nerves or stage fright as a performer. So like, her getting up there and just singing, that is not how stage fright works. I'm like, Jonathan having anxiety where he can't play the piano, that is not how anxiety attacks and performance issues work. Them, I guess, wanting to hook up maybe overpowered their fear. I don't know what the hell that was. I will say though, one thing I did leave out is when Sarah talks to Kyle and he's like, I wanted to be there, but I got some bad news and I started drinking and I realized I missed your audition and blah, blah, blah. And he goes to promise her something. She's like, don't promise me anything, because all it is disappointment. And I don't feel like doing that again. And I'm like, she's like at the end of her rope with her dad and you can see it. And he, like, Kyle was like almost crying, and you got to feel sorry for Kyle, because for Kyle, he feels like his wife doesn't believe in him. The guy doesn't want to give him a job because he's not leadership, material. He's been like talking Morgan Edge up this entire time. Obviously he had career goals and stuff that he has regrets about. I mean, he just seems to be pretty down on himself. And Lana's doing it for his own good. He just doesn't know it because she can't trust him to tell him, because he'll just say stuff and talk her out of it or get mad or they'll fight. So yeah, a lot of people are holding some secrets in, and relationships are pretty messed up. So yeah. Hello, Mercenary. How are you? The way this story is going, I feel that Jonathan's powers will emerge at the most critical moment. So do I. I felt like it almost happened in the last episode. I can't remember what it was. It's like when they were fighting and he picked up the axe to try and save his dad. I mean, I kind of feel like the axe was pretty, heavy, and maybe only waited and responded to steel. I don't know. I have to go back and look at that. But I don't know. I feel like there are moments where there are little snippets when his powers are coming out. But we'll see. I don't buy these powerless. I don't either. I think he's a late bloomer. Jordan is still Brightburn. He is. Jordan has been messing up this whole time. It was about time Jonathan took a turn. Yeah, and I feel like they always, when Jordan like messes up, he yells back at them and they're like, oh, well, it's because of his thing. I'm like, no, that is not acceptable. Like, you beat his butt. I'm like, no, he don't get a pass because he has anxiety and because he has issues. That is not fair to the other twin, because that is basically telling you, I have anxiety. I grew up with a younger brother. He is 5 years younger than me. So you're learning something else. My brother has spectrum retardation and autism, but my brother is very functional. My brother would do things like go in the closet and get cookies and eat them, and then go tell, if they ask who did it, he'll go say that I did it. And then I would get in trouble, and then they would never believe that he would do that. And then now that we're adults, it's like now they're seeing that, yeah, he really is sneaky. So don't punish the child that was not born with a disability, that when, or when they're not doing something wrong. If you're not going to do that with a child that has disability, it should be fair. You need to treat them equally, even if one of them is at a disadvantage on, in my case, a mental disability. In his case, more, I guess technically can be considered mental, but more like, kind of emotional with his anxiety. But I feel like they cut him so much more slack than Jonathan. It's so annoying. I think it will be at mid-season or season finale, which sucks because this show won't be back until next year. I know. I'm wondering if it's going to go to HBO Max, because they're making it seem like it, since it's not going to be in the CW lineup, that it may. And quite frankly, whenever they take something off the air for as long as they do Superman and Lois, like I think the premiere when it came back recently did not do well at all. It was the lowest ratings they ever had. So, but that's on CW. I don't know why they do that, but they do. It may be worth to wait, given how level-headed he is. He is the more ideal inheritor of Clark's powers. I agree. I feel like if this was Arrowverse Superman, he would have passed out and died already. So like, he's definitely a lot stronger in his own series. I will give you that, because no time in when he did a guest appearance on Supergirl, and either of the crossovers he was in, was he ever not weak? So I remember we used to talk about that, like the fact that he was such a weak Superman. He was the weakest Superman out of all the Supermans in Crisis. And now he's just like really badass. I'm like, okay. Lois Lane is the key. She's always the key, unfortunately and fortunately. I like Lois Lane, the character itself. I've always liked Lois Lane. She just puts up with a lot of shit. So I mean, you have to love the love interest that put up with crap. But yeah, in this case, since she has the same title, she's in the title of the show, Superman and Lois, they can't kill Lois like they did in Injustice. So they have to do something to make him snap. Now they could hurt her, but they can't kill her, because then there's no Superman and Lois. It's just Superman and dead wife. So I mean, don't know how that show would sell. Just saying. I don't like that Jordan, the socially awkward kid, is given some heavy negative vibes, but it seems to be that Jonathan is being portrayed as the more level-headed son. I agree with that. And he actually is more like, Jonathan's more like Lois. So I do agree with that. But I mean, that's a problem that I have across the board with the CW. Like, they pick and choose, and it's just really weird to me. Jonathan, the best savior to rely on. He reminds me of a not stupid Mark from Invincible on Amazon. Yeah. That's why I felt Jonathan will come through at the very last second. He resembles young Clark more than Jordan does. He does. Like I said, I think I will say that they both, because when I first looked at them, I'm like, wow, they're fraternal twins, so they're not supposed to look alike as twin brothers. But if you ever just stop and look at them, because of their eye color and like their nose, they actually do favor each other a little bit, which I think is cool. But I do think that Jonathan is closer to what Superman is, but personality wise is closer to Lois. And I think this time of not having powers and being the brother that isn't powered is making him more humble. That's why he was able to forgive his mother so fast when she said about, told him about the miscarriage. And he started crying with her. He is more sensitive and he's definitely more like Lois in that regard. Whereas Superman is still very much Kryptonian, and his feelings are not as open as Lois and Jonathan's. And Jordan seems to be the exact same way. So personality wise, he seems to be more like Daddy. So it's very interesting. As long as Lois and the boys are alive, the world is safe. This is true. Lois is the key. You have to save Lois. It's just like Heroes, save the cheerleader, but save Lois, save the world. Thank you for the review. I love that you made it here. I know you've been working hard. I'm sorry your job has been kicking your butt. Lois will be the Lynn with the superpowered family. Except she won't be as she did act like Lynn a little bit today, but she doesn't normally. She tries to understand, so I'll give her that. Hello, Jedi. How are you? John is the definition of a good son. He is I mean, it's sad because he's not the one that ever wants to go out and do bad things. Like, it's always Jordan. Even when the team had come to the room when they were playing, and he got his hand broke, it's because Jordan was like, hey, let's go out and celebrate. And Johnson's like, but dad told us to stay in the room. And Jordan's like, no, we just go. And I'm like, like, you getting him in trouble. and they're getting his hand broke. So bros before hoes. Not in this universe. Stage fright never goes away. It does not. It's not. Which is weird. My version of stage fright is strange. I could literally stand up in front of like hundreds of people and talk about anything, be in a scene, joke or whatever. But if it's one-on-one or a small group, that's when my nerves play out. So if it's just like 5 or 6 judgmental people, they're like judging how you sing, judging how you act, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, oh, the nerves are bad. They had all the the Batman versus Superman weapons in this episode: kryptonite spear and crypto gas. They did. I wondered what was the hook he had. I wondered. It wasn't the bat hook. There was another hook thing that he had too that I thought was interesting. But to be fair, I did not like Batman versus Superman because Superman just seemed to give Batman entirely too much time to load his damn ammo. Like when he ran out of bullets, he sat there and hovered while he headshot him. Batman didn't die or be defeated because Superman wasn't trying. He was not trying. Henry Cavill failed. He failed this city and this movie. I like Sarah bypassed the all-American super cute and awesome Jordan and went for the superpowered moody twin with anger and mental health issues. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, there are a lot of likes. She's got anxiety and issues too. So she probably relates on that level. But yeah. This episode almost had me crying. Also, when Lois talked down to John from killing Superman, all I could think of was Barry talking down to the villains. I know. It's horrible. Or like Lynn. And it was almost like watching Lynn and Jefferson from Black Lightning. Because I know too soon because they're gone. But it was like Jefferson and her having it out. It's just like, oh, no, Lois, no. I do feel bad for Kyle, but he is the maker of his destruction. I do agree with that. How do you discipline a half Kryptonian child with kryptonite? Like, put you in the kryptonite child. Put a tiny piece in the closet. Go in the closet, Jordan. That's what they did to Abigail and Charmed. Go in the crate. Like, well, I mean, honestly, how you can discipline a half Kryptonian child is Lois will ground him. And if he tries to sneak out, his daddy is stronger than him. His daddy will bring him back because Jordan is not stronger than Clark is right now. So half Kryptonian does not equal full Kryptonian, which means powers are not developed enough to take daddy out yet. So that is how you discipline the child. And what Lois says goes in that house. Nobody fights her. None of them do. None of them do. When Jordan said, go to your room, when Lois told Jordan to go to his room, he went to his room. So, because she just doesn't play around, I guess. You ate those damn cookies and blaming your special able brother. I really didn't. I really didn't. I was more impressed that he climbed up there and got him. So I'm about, well, now I'm 5'5", so he's about 5'9". But then back then, I think I was probably like 5 feet tall, and he had to have been like 4'11". No, he's about 4'4". And he got his little butt up there and got those cookies. But he's always done stuff like that. He always would do things and then blame it on me. And then my dad, especially, I was like, why are you doing that? And I'm like, I always got my butt whooped because of my brother. All the time. I love him to death, but it's true. The show is viewable on HBO Max already. Yeah, I think that the plan is to move it there. I really think they're going to end up doing it as a HBO Max only series. I think that's going to be the ultimate plan. Clark and Supergirl had him and Kara neck and neck in strength in that fight with against the Justice League. Shame Clark should have ended him without Arrow. Well, my thing about that is Supergirl beat him in an episode. Like they fought and he was like possessed and was trying to kill her, and she took him out or took him down. So she technically Supergirl in the Arrowverse is stronger than him. One of the hallmarks of good Superman story is his empathy. True. And I really need them to actually show that more. They show it with his family. I need to see it more with everybody else. I mean, yeah, he saved people, and he does say go or go away, or get out of here, blah, blah, blah. I need to see him more caring about other people because they are. I mean, honestly, right now he could turn either way, and honestly, that would be really cool to see how they handle a story like that, but they won't because he is the title character and you can't have evil Superman and Lois. I mean, I don't know. Have you seen The Good Son? I have not. Superman was not trying. He was not. Okay, maybe a better son than Jordan. I mean, again, if Jordan ends up being Brightburn, though, you know we all said it here. I'm just saying. You can't leave no pills, booze, or metagenes around Lynn. This is true. And it seems like you can't leave boobs around Kyle either in this series. The show does a good old-fashioned talk down, works better than The Flash. This is true. If they scream at each other, like I will tell you this. When Clark was like, I want to be that person for you that you can talk to, Lois, but I know that if you can't, what about that lady you went to? And I'm like, because she was like short with him too. He's like, are you good? I'm fine, Clark. And he's like, oh, no, no. I may be able to pick up a train, but I'm not touching that. I'm like, that's not what's happening in the valley today. I will say, though, in every Arrowverse show, and I'm going to put this out here, we see Jefferson and Lynn get it on. We see Barry and Iris get it on. We see Alex and whoever girlfriend occasionally get it on. We've seen, technically, I think we've seen John and no, we may not have seen them, the Martians, get it on. Well, I think they have implications of making out. And the point that I'm making is across this board is, you ever notice that we never see Lois and Clark getting it on? In this series, they have 2 damn kids. We know they have sex. They're married. We never see them do anything. We haven't seen them technically even attempt to make out. A tiny kiss here, a little hug there, but nothing's like CW style sexual at all is happening in the show, which is very interesting. Don't know what that's about. I feel like the story they're going for with Jordan is similar to the story they're going for with Empath and Hellions. Jordan's powers seem like they're corrupting him, making him take more risks. I think it's going to become more apparent the more he struggles. Like right now, it seems like he's mastered the super hearing thing. And so now he's back to being cool again. Like there was no struggle with him whatsoever in this, which is interesting for, him having anxiety and all that stuff. So it's just interesting. This is definitely my favorite live action Lois Lane. Amazing performance, in my opinion. I like her. So I've always liked Bitsy, the actress, because I used to be an avid Grimm lover. I used to watch Grimm every week, and I loved her as Juliet. And I love what happened to her when she became a Hexen Beast in Grimm. So I've always been a fan of hers. I don't hate her Lois. I actually like her Lois a lot, but I'm going to be real with you. My favorite Lois Lane will always be Erica Durance from Smallville, because that girl came into that series taking literally command and ended that series taking charge. She literally was the comic version of Lois to me. Now, I'm not saying that Bitsy's not. I'm not saying she can't pull it off, but I'm telling you, the Lois Lane in Smallville is I will go to the boards on this, put it on. Look, I will even go in the boxing ring. Eric Durance is my favorite Lois Lane. She just embodied Lois Lane to me. If you have felt powerless this whole time, then suddenly have the physical strength to level a house, it changes your perspective. I mean, okay, it does give you a little bit of an ego, but your anxiety disorder should still be there. I mean, I have depression. I mean, no matter what I do, it's still there. No matter how good I'm feeling, it's still going to creep in whenever it wants. So, I don't know. It's just interesting. It's an interesting thing. I mean, at least on this show, the talk downs don't feel so asinine. Oh, like when Barry makes you feel like crap. Yeah. Also, I'm starting to really think Superman and Lois in the Arrowverse, since they keep bringing up Crisis and the Multiverse. Oh, is in the Arrowverse, since they keep bringing it up. Yeah. Well, it's funny what they forget. I said this in our last review last week on Arrowverse Tuesday. What do these people remember about Crisis? I need us to have a reunion episode between all of the shows that were involved in Crisis and have everybody say what they remember went down. Because should Clark and Lois not realize that they had one kid and then they had 2 kids? Why don't they remember this? Why isn't this odd for them? So they know about the parallel universes and the multiverse. They know about the whole Crisis event. But do they realize how they were affected? What did when Martian Manhunter went and gave everybody back their memories of blah 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 crisis blah blah blah? Why don't they remember everything? I don't understand. I mean, granted, Crisis on Infinite Earth as a series on the Arrowverse sucked. I did not like it. And if you want to just erase the fact that Anti-Monitor was weak and erase the fact that Bebo was a bigger threat, then that's fine. But why don't you remember anything? I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't get it. Jordan takes after the other side of the house of the L family. That's what it is. Are you going to do a live stream on Lucifer? Of course I am. I'm almost done. I probably have 3 episodes left. So I had doctor appointments today, so I couldn't finish it, but I do plan on, it will not be tomorrow. Tomorrow I got to do my Sailor Moon review because Sailor Moon, both of the movies are coming out. I believe that's on the 2nd, so it should be tomorrow. So my Sailor Moon Eternal has to come first, but then I will do Lucifer. So it should be that we should have a stream by this weekend. More than likely, I'm going to do it on Saturday because that's my plan. It should be on Saturday. I'm still struggling with Fate Wing Saga, and I just feel like I'm going to end up doing that as a stream too because I'm so over trying to fix this video. It's driving me insane. I really like Sam and actually feel safer in a world with super people with men like him. So I understand what you're saying because I mean you really have to think about the fact that if you were into Injustice like I was into Injustice, or heck, if you read Deceased and see what happens when Kryptonians become zombies, they're effing terrifying. So I understand Sam's logic, but if you read the comics, you will see that he actually takes it a lot further to a point where it's more like he's a dictator and to the point where his fear of Kryptonians running around and flying around, especially with Kandor, that he takes it to a level that is not so good. And this Sam could do the exact same thing. Like he may use, this project against his son-in-law just because his son-in-law is pissing him off. So I don't know. We have to see what this Sam does. Sam comes off as an a-hole, but we don't know the whole story. So I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's not wrong. He does need something against Superman. They do. But at the same time, you're supposed to trust your son-in-law. It's a catch, either way. Because he has super shooters and will pressure wash her insides. Wait. What? Right. Are we talking about why Lois and Clark are not intimate with each other? Because I don't know. I don't know what to say to that, Ray. Are you saying the other heroes have more sex than Lois and Clark? I am absolutely saying that, Kevin, with 100% clarity. I'm glad you caught that. Hey, Chaston, how you doing, girl? I think Clark remembers, but not Lois. But why? She was involved in Crisis. And then if Clark remembers, then why isn't he nicer to Jonathan? Because that was his first kid. I mean, what? I'm like, I need them. I need some more closure on this thing. I really do. And at least they explain what happened to the other child that Lois had. They did. They explained the daughter that she was, we don't know. We really don't know what caused the miscarriage, but she had a miscarriage with her baby girl. But the other child in Crisis was Jonathan. I'm like, so I don't get it. A lot of the best versions of Superman characters came from the Smallville show. I agree. I absolutely agree. Will not say no to more streams. Yeah, I love doing streams. Right now, I'm using my DSLR. I'm not using my webcam because I didn't plug it in time. So I just plopped it. So hopefully this will not cut off. Be nice to me, my really expensive, DSLR. But we'll see what happens. Because in Crisis, Lois seemed to like to know she had twins. So that's the thing. Like, I feel like, because she only had one kid in Crisis. But like I said, Crisis was already a crapshoot when they let all the Kryptonians die. I'm like, you literally had an entire army that could have fought Anti-Monitor. You just let them all die. You saved none of the Kryptonians that could have helped you basically defeat Anti-Monitor in Crisis. So it was already a mess for me. But yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. It's weird what they remember, what they don't. I got tired of Clark in the second game. He was such a crybaby. He was the one character I used in training mode to test all my combat and super moves on. Me too. I did that too, actually. Ironically, though, I used to like Aquaman, fighting with Aquaman a lot. I don't know what that's about. I actually like him in I don't know if anybody's reading the Ruby and Justice League crossover comic right now, but I definitely like Aquaman in that comic too. And that's weird, but it's true. I think the Injustice comics were far better than the game. I absolutely agree. But I mean, you can do a lot more character development and exposition in a comic book. So that makes sense. But yeah, I'm trying to think about our Superman and Lois future. I mean, it just seems to, like, in the preview for the next episode, it already feels like stuff's hitting the fan. But Lois does say to Jonathan, how can I protect you? I'm powerless to protect you, which is interesting. And I love when Jonathan, I will say this though, when Lois pushed that button and she's like, Clark, and then she's like, Jonathan's about to die. He got there like really quick. But Clark was like, your mother and I will protect you. And Lois then says, I can't do crap to help you. I'm like, well, I don't have any confidence in you anymore, Mom. Like, I am powerless. I don't know what to do to help you. That's your dad. And Johns was like, I almost died. Mom couldn't do anything. And you were like literally 1 second on time. I'm like, I'm vulnerable. I could die. Do you not understand this? I'm like, no, Clark don't get it. Aquaman was a sleeper hit in the Injustice game series. A lot of people were taking him seriously with his 6 combos. He had cool combos. I loved Aquaman. He was the one you didn't think was going to be cool. Prior to that, casual fans saw him as that dude who talked to fish. Oh yeah, back in the 60s or 70s when he walked around with an orange shirt talking and riding a seahorse. Yeah, I could see that. The next ep will be a good one. I agree. I do agree. Like I said, I don't think that Steel is gone. I don't think his daughter is dead. They've never said anything indicating in this series that Natalie is dead. So he will be a player, even though he made that comment to Clark saying, I just tried to kill you. I'm not ready to fight alongside you. I really think that he will be fighting along them. And I think his daughter may be making an appearance too. Because look, we didn't see Steel coming. John Henry Irons was like the furthest from any of our minds that that's who that was going to be. So I want to know who else they're going to bring in. And then I'm always like curious at this point in Superman's super career, he should have met a lot more Justice Leaguers. He should have a relationship with a lot of people. Like we already know through Kara, when she first meets Kate Kane, she said, our cousins were friends, or my cousin knew your cousin. So that tells me that Clark knew Bruce Wayne, aka Batman. We still don't know where the hell Batman is because it seems like nothing is big enough for Batman to come out of his feelings after killing Joker. So he's just off. Maybe he's like in City of Bane, off and living his best life on the island with Selena. I'm like, and him and Catwoman are just getting on. I don't know. But nothing seems to be bringing Batman back to Gotham in the Arrowverse. We also do not have a Lantern First in this universe. At this point, I don't even know if he has ever met a Lantern, but because John Diggle is going to be making the rounds in the Arrowverse shows, and we've already confirmed, through different articles that he did get the green ring and he turned it down. And now there's implications because of that, or ramifications, should I say, and that he is going to be making an appearance on Superman and Lois. Then maybe we will finally learn if Clark has ever met another damn, Green Lantern. That would be interesting. I really think that would be cool. I don't know. Like I said, I'm also 100% down with Stargirl going from the next JSA to Infinity Inc. Now that they realize that Sylvester's alive, that might actually happen. And if that's the case, then they can bring in Natalie Irons, because she was in Infinity Inc. So I have ideas of how they could actually cross everybody over. Now they're not going to do it, but I mean, if they do this, I will be shocked. I will be absolutely shocked if they did this. I mean, Natalie Irons is a very good character, and having her in Stargirl universe to me would be cool. And there's no reason why that can't happen, because quite frankly, her dad traveled to another Earth. She could travel to another Earth too and end up on Earth 2, which is where Stargirl is. That's literally what I think could happen. And then hence we have another member of Infinity Inc. So I don't know. I just got questions, and I feel like that could happen. I feel like Lois didn't really think through this marrying super. Nope. She was like, this man flew me to Paris for dinner, for lunch in London, and we went to China for egg rolls. Like all in one day. That's what she was like, living my best life. Plus, he stands in front of me when people shoot at me for doing stupid things. Love. Is elsewhere crossword Lois was using weapons. She's not powerless. She's not powerless, but for some reason she thinks she is in this one. That was her words. She's like, why am I powerless to protect you? I have to go back and look at the trailer again, but I'm pretty sure that's the line that we heard her say to Jonathan in the next episode trailer. I wouldn't blame Clark so much if he were working on damage control. I feel like Clark shouldn't be validating Jordan so much. It's almost like he's coddling him. I know. He's like babying him. I guess because he sees himself so much, in Jordan's struggle, that he connected more with Jordan. But to be fair, again, in the pilot, Jordan and him were not as close. It was actually him and Jonathan that kind of talked more. And then Jordan got the powers, and then he needed him more. And it kind of gave, I guess, Clark an in with the other twin that wasn't his. But let's put it this way. Clark was not Jordan or Jonathan's favorite. It was always Lois. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I could sit here and dissect this man all day. But Jordan is flawed like any human kid. True. He's half human. Bring Terry into the Arrowverse. Yes, Batman Beyond. Please, 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 please do this. I want Birds of Prey. I think all of this would be cool. Most of what I knew about Injustice was from the game. I just recently started reading the comics. Yeah, the comics are very good. I think you're really going to enjoy the comics. Jordan definitely needs more tough love. He does. CW, hurry up that Jordan abs a lot together on the both are so creative. I mean, I think that they do relate. I mean, honestly, though, since Jordan's the one with powers, he is basically, it's like history repeating itself. Because Clark was very gaga over Lana, and now his son Jordan is very gaga over Lana's daughter, Sarah. It is literally the same thing. We saw it in the Smallville series. We see it in this one. Will Sarah be endgame for Jordan? I don't know. There may be his Lois Lane out there, or maybe she is endgame. Who knows? I know Jonathan, though. I still think he's going to be prime Superboy. I just think that's what's going to happen. I think he is not in the running right now, but he's going to get his powers. And I think when he gets his powers, he's going to learn to master them quicker than Jordan did. And it's going to cause some issues with Jordan. Because right now, these powers do make Jordan feel separated from people, but also make him feel more special. And when his brother gets the same powers, if he gets, depends on what Earth we talk about with Jonathan Kent, he may get abilities that Jordan do not have. They are going to have a lot of issues. There may be some animosity. And that is how you form a Brightburn, through jealousy and envy of your twin being better than you. So we'll see what that plays out to. I'd lose my lunch if someone flew me to Paris from the everybody would. But for some reason, it works in the superhero world. I don't understand it. I've never understood it. I like realistic portrayals of stuff when people fly, or when you're teleported and people like throw up because they're not used to it and stuff like that. I love that. I do not understand why people are just completely okay with being flown thousands and thousands of miles across the ocean and in like 10 minutes and you're a human being, and for some reason it's completely natural. I'm used to this. And I'm like, no, my inner ear hurts. I can't do it. Honestly, I want another crossover with all the shows just so I can see Ryan's reaction to all the superheroes. And it could have been helping her. I want Ryan to say that. I want Ryan to be like, you mean I could have effing called you? I'm like, the hell? I'm like, yeah, that would be funny. Too bad Black Lightning's no longer around, because that would have been really funny. No one in the Arrowverse thinks through marrying a super. True. This is true. They never showed us what happened to Natasha, so I wonder if she is alive. I've been calling Natasha Natalie this entire time. Sorry, guys. Nat. What happened there? Huh. Because I'm looking back, like, at screenshots from the last episode. And then one hand, they make it seem like she's still alive because he left her and he said, I will be back. And then in this episode, you see him in the RV and Injustice Superman is like trying to punch his way through and there's a shield and he can't get through. And then he's like, just a little more, just a little more, just a little more. And then I guess that's when the Back to the Future takes over. And then he ends up on Earth 1. What did they ever say what his Earth number was? I don't think they never discussed that, did they? I don't think they did. Did they? I don't know. They never said what Earth they were originally on. That's interesting. Did he know? I don't know. That's something I really need. I really need to figure out. Like if they know what Earth he's on. It'd be interesting if he was on Earth X. I don't know why. I just think that would be funny. Who else agrees that Jordan needs a haircut? Okay, to be fair though, in the 90s, Clark was sporting that wavy black hair, and like when he the Death of Superman run, remember he had his hair was like to here, and that was before he died. His hair, well, no, that's not true. He had short hair, and then it grew out, and then he just never. I think after he came back from hibernation, he just never cut it for like a long time. So he likes sporting that long hair. They flip it up. I don't know. He seemed to like it. I do look forward to John getting his powers. I do too. Jonathan is Karma to Jordan's Tran. Karma ended up killing Tran. Karma and Tran are twins, if I recall correctly. Huh. I can see that. Like, isn't right now Karma trying to go through the trial to get Tran back in Krakoa? Are Jonathan's powers going to be psionic in nature? That's what I want to know. It depends on it really depends on, because I never know with the Arrowverse what universe, what comic run they're doing and when they're pulling these characters from. Because remember, the Arrowverse will also do their own thing. Like we know Chester P, that is not Chester P in the comics. So I don't know. Who knows? They could give him a completely different power set. They could be like Grace. Grace, instead of being this powerful Amazonian, she's like a shapeshifter. So who knows? Imagine Lois's hair if Superman's flight were realistic. Imagine his face right now. I mean, her hair should be whipping. I have long hair. Your hair just gets everywhere. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I've never understood that. I pity the man who was unfortunate enough to tell Jordan to get a haircut. They may not be able to cut it. It'll break the scissors. You know, as we rewatching Smallville, one thing I noticed was that not only was Clark invulnerable, but so were his clothes. Yeah. Well, it's like the Flash. So like with the Flash, he has his special shoes and then his regular shoes apparently burn out. But now they've gotten to the point where they've gotten lazy with that, where he actually can run without having his costume on and not kill his shoes. And I'm like, no, you know, you bought those from Amazon. That is not how that works. I'm like, Iron's guy team with Clark, but to only betray and work with Edge. I don't think that Irons is going to betray him and work with Edge, because Edge, he knows, is trying to make Kryptonians, and so a whole army of Kryptonians, and so he doesn't want a repeat of what happened that killed his wife. So yeah, I don't think that'll be an issue. Storm said she was successful separating from her brother, but the difference between them is not as obvious post Krakoa. Tran was addicted to his powers. Karma was afraid of them. That makes sense. Jordan will have to realize at some point that he really doesn't have to coddle humans like Clark does. Jordan's not going to coddle them. You can see it now. He's not. He has no control over his temper. So, I don't know. The only person he's ever been able to stop himself from hitting is Jonathan. And that was in the last episode when he thought he was flirting with Sarah. I don't know. He has the power to do whatever he wants. True. That is really, really true. Back to the whole Krakoa thing, though. I was talking to Blurred, and I remember we were talking about the fact that you're not allowed to resurrect anyone that has like a clairvoyant ability. So that's interesting storyline that's happening right now. I'm a little behind on the updated comics. I have to catch up, but I do know that she was trying to get her brother revived, and I do know that Wolfsbane's child was not allowed to come back, and so I know there's a lot of people that are not allowed to come back. Except for a whole thing with Onslaught, which is interesting. You mean you don't buy the Speed Force bubble theory that protects their clothes? No, I don't. I do not. I call BS on that whole conversation. I call BS. 100% call BS. But yeah, so back to the whole, I keep thinking about because things pop into my head. I keep thinking about this episode with Lana again. I feel bad for Lana because Lana has not checked in with Lois, and Lois has not checked in with her. And Lois is the reason she took the job. And I'm like, okay. And Lois's new boss does not seem to be very proactive in Lois's life, because Lois never goes to work anymore. She talks on the phone with her, but I never see her go. What is the name of it? The Smallville Gazette? I don't know what they're called, but whatever it is, the local Smallville paper. Lois is never there, so I guess she can work remotely. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Let's see. We're almost to an hour, guys. We are actually going to cut it at an hour because my sinuses are bothering me, and this light particularly is bothering me a lot. I can feel my eye going crazy. But I wanted to answer a few more questions and also have a few more comments before we cut this short. Have there any been specific power differences between John Kent and Clark Kent? There have, actually. John Kent, if I remember correctly, but this really depends on which comic run you read, is faster than his dad. Not stronger, but I remember them saying that he was faster than Clark. But that's only in some comic runs. I have to go back and look at, the issues. But yeah, he's supposed to be, which makes, I always wonder if that makes him, on par with the Flash, because I'm pretty sure the Flash is still considered to be faster than Superman, even though they have races all the time. They had one in Smallville. They had one in the Justice League movie. I think the first run. They've done it in the comics, but they never tell us the outcome. But I still think that the Flash is still faster than Clark is, and John is supposed to be faster, which doesn't make any sense because he's half Kryptonian. But I mean, whatever. He had to have an up somewhere, I guess. I'm worried for Lana because I already know she's going to get powers. I feel it too. I feel like she's going to get caught in the crossfires and something's going to happen and she's going to end up with abilities. Or she's going to end up learning Clark's secret. I remember Superboy had his own power of tactile telekinesis. He did. There is a run where he is telekinetic. I just don't know what they're going to do, because the CW, again, they like to do their own stuff. They like to create their own. They bring in characters and they usually rewrite their story, or they kill them off. Like Trask is dead, and Trask was a little bit bigger in the comics. He had a bigger role in DC Comics, but Trask was only in it for like a millisecond, and he's already dead. And they'll do that. They'll bring characters in and they'll get rid of them really quickly. And it's like, these could have been major players later on, and it's just, I don't know what they're doing. Clearly, Lois has more free reign than we thought. I mean, she doesn't have to. I'm telling you, Clark is working sometimes as an assistant coach for the football team, but he has no other form of employment. Lois is working for a small paper in Smallville that she never goes to, so I don't know how she's getting a check. They have got to be living on their savings accounts, because there's no way in heck they're not farming. They're not selling produce from the farm. They're not doing anything on the farm. I mean, do they have animals? I don't even know. Do we see them take care of animals? We don't know, because we never see them do it. I'm like, I guess it's implied that they have a farm life, but I don't know where they have the farm life. And since Smallville is not doing well as a whole town, literally financially, no one can afford to pay for their produce and anything anyway. So what are they doing? I don't understand. But I told you, I said this in all of my CW, not just Arrowverse, my CW reviews, there is a bank with this one account that all of them are able to access. Every character is able to access this fund, and it takes care of all of their worldly needs, because obviously they don't live in our world. Because if we lived in this style, or if we were Lois and Clark right now on that farm, we would have lost the farm because we weren't able to pay for it. And because, their mother had already taken, Martha had already taken money off our mortgaged it out or whatever to be sold. We would not have been able to afford the farm. We would not be able to feed our kids. Our kids would not be able to go to school. We wouldn't have gas for our truck. We would be po. P-O. Po. We couldn't even afford the other O-R. That's how poor we would have been. I never understood that. I will never understand it. I just don't understand it. I think that Flash is technically more dangerous than Superman. I agree. Especially in Deceased. He proved it. Flash points and all. Well, Barry's more dangerous in the Arrowverse version of Flash because of the decisions he tries to make, and nobody stops him making. It'd be cool if John had an exclusive ability that gave him an edge over Clark and Jonathan. I think that would be cool. I think that would be really cool. Lois Lane haven't been to work 3 or 4 episodes. I'm telling you, she doesn't go work. I'm like, I don't know what she do. Do you think we'll see Lucy on Superman and Lois? Yes, I think they need to establish Lucy. If they were true to the comics, they would cast a blonde, because Lucy Lane has always been blonde in the comics, which is why when Amy what is Amy's last name? Amy's last name went out of my head. The Lois Lane of DCU, when she got cast and she was strawberry blonde, I was like, wow, they literally hybrid Lois and Lucy together. So I would love for them to cast a blonde as Lucy Lane, because Lois always made fun of her for having blonde hair in the comics. Sam Lane is paying their bills. No, he's not. He's spending all his time trying to kill Clark. The Charm Ones gave them the secret of making money without jobs. That's what it was. That is exactly what it was. Maybe Clark completes all the farm chores with his super speed. But where are the animals? Like, what chores? Are they growing produce? Is there corn? I mean, what is happening? How, at least on Smallville, you literally saw them doing farm work. You don't see that in this one. Nobody is doing anything on their farms. I don't understand how this is a farming community if they're not farming anything. I don't get it. But again, suspend your disbelief. I mean, they could at least have Clark pulling a tractor like in Jupiter's Legacy. I know, or fixing a fence, doing something on the farm, damn it. You're doing nothing on the damn farm. I'm like in my feelings about this, guys, because farms are cool. And if you are a person that lives on a farm, the word farm means something. It means you are making a produce, or you're producing something either for your family or for the community. They are doing neither. They are doing nothing on this farm except drinking wine, arguing, fixing the truck every now and then, hiding shit and finding shit in the barn. And that's about it. That's basic. Family meetings. I don't know. They're doing nothing on this farm. Nothing on this farm. But yeah, farms are an all-day thing. I agree, except for this one. The farms in this universe are a 5-minute thing because none of them do anything on these farms. And not everyone has a farm in Smallville, which is interesting because it is a farming community. And I live in the South and I live near farms, so I know what that's supposed to look like. So I just got questions. But all right, guys, we're a little bit over an hour. So if you have any other comments, questions, concerns, all this stuff, like you can tell I'm tired when I'm calling Natasha Irons Natalie for like the first half of the stream. This tells me a lot about myself today. So I'm probably going to go take a nap now from this sinus drainage, but I want to be involved and I want to have you guys be involved with me and I want you guys to be involved with each other and carry this discussion on because we only have one show to talk about this week. So any like theories you have, any like hopes of characters you want to see, any like, anything you nitpicked about the episode, anything you nitpicked about the series as a whole, let me know in the comments. I want to know. And hey, tell me what you think is going to happen next week. And then we'll look back and see if you were right. That'll be cool. But yeah, and as Chaston says, Please get those thumbs up with those likes. Like me because I like you. But I love you guys. I am going to go to sleep. I'm like, I know it's a little early for me. It's only 10:30, but I am exhausted. Anemia is not my friend and it kicks my butt. So I'm going to go to sleep so I can be up and early arisen tomorrow so we can have a Sailor Moon review, which more than likely will be a live stream. We'll see. Have a good night. If it's your day, have a good day, guys. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.